Welcome back to another episode of Measured. We appreciate you joining us today. We have a couple different topics around Google and one around AI that we're going to dive into. So the first one that is about Google's confirming a search data bug that ran for a week. We had noticed this on a couple of our accounts in Google Search Console, not all of them. So I'm going to read a few things from the article and then just kind of go into how it was relevant for us. So starting around August 15th, site owners began reporting significant drops in their Google Search Console data. Impressions down, clicks down, rankings unchanged, but the reporting numbers looked terrible. And this is what was happening to us. Again, only on a couple of accounts. So for about a week, Google said nothing. Site owners speculated about a possible algorithm update. SEO forums lit up with theories. So on August 21st, Google confirmed publicly what was actually happening. It was a bug on Google's end, not an algorithm change, not penalty, not something your site did wrong. Search Console had been reporting inaccurate data for nearly a week. And there's a lot of people that don't look at Google Search Console. And if you're just if you're a website owner and you're not working with another agency, you're not really so much tracking all of your traffic. You may not have Google Search Console set up. And we talked about this in previous episodes. I love Google Search Console for looking at the queries, seeing how people are coming in, what was actually searched, what brought them in, their clicks, the impressions that went, what was the ranking of those keywords when it was clicked to come through, all the different things. I mean, those are the things that I really enjoy looking at it for. And so if you do track it and you haven't realized, your August numbers may be a little bit down. And we are saying this for any of our customers and anyone else's customers, that if someone comes and presents you an August report with Google Search Console, that your data may be conflicted. Now, this was not targeted, so that's what's kind of crazy about it. It was a broad reporting error that affected a substantial portion of Google Search Console or Google Search Console accounts, but it did not happen to everyone. And if you were making decisions based on that week, they're probably false. And it's a twofold thing. We rely so much on Google and its analytics for your website, for anyone's website. It is just one way that most people gather their data on their traffic that they have, how people found you, and help you make decisions, whether what's happening for that next month or comparing it back to the year prior. So you can just kind of see what happened in August of this year, what was happening in August of last year. And just, you have to realize that there is going to be a week where those numbers are not correct. So that's going to affect your overall month, which obviously will affect your overall quarter all the way through. Hopefully they wasn't big for you. But for some of our customers, it was pretty substantial, which is why we were really starting to dive into it. But just knowing that August's data may not be that reliable when you are looking at it from a Google Search Console standpoint. So you're in your analytics and you're looking at your data there. It is going to be different than if you were in your Google Search Console and checking out your data from that. We'll make a point with our customers so that they know that, but just realize that if someone is presenting you a report for August, that more than likely that data could be incorrect. And if it is not lining up with everything else, that it was just a bug from Google and it was out of your control. It was out of their control. It was out of any agency's control that you work with, but it was there, and Google has come out and recognized that. So thank you for Google for coming out and acknowledging, and hopefully we do not have any more issues as we hit quarter 4 for 2026. In the next article, and I'm not going to really read this next article, and has everything to do with Google Business Profile. And obviously we talk about Google Business Profile quite a bit on this episode. I talk about it all the time with our customers. And if you are a local business or a business that needs to show up in a map search or want to show up for someone looking for something near you, your Google Business Profile is the first thing that is going to pull in those map searches. And so we are always helping and talking to our customers about optimizing it. And there's been a lot of things in the news about Google profiles getting suspended. I think back in, I had a note that in April, there was a lot of them in California, and then people were getting review wipes in July. And I mean, Google again has acknowledged all of that. And one thing that we got asked is like, how can we protect our site or our account that we don't have issues? And what's interesting is what has actually happened to me with a different business that we have. And we would have set up the account back when it opened July of 2017, I believe. Hopefully I have the year right. And back when you would use to set up old accounts, the verification was simple. One option you had was having a postcard mailed to your address. You put your code in, you're verified. And that was, looking back, was so easy. And we had about a month ago where we had I set it up, same account. I haven't changed my email or my Google account at all. And I had to re-verify myself as the owner for this profile. And the profile was Advanced Network Professionals. And one of the ways that you can verify is a video walkthrough. And with Google on the video walkthroughs, it's not something you record on your own and just hit upload later. It's almost like you're recording a live video. They give you some things that you're supposed to include in the video when you go, like proving your address. So like showing the street corner. So you're at the corner of this and this, depending where you're at on the road, but showing the road, showing the signage. So if you have an outside building sign, showing like the number, I'm not going to say the house number, but the building number for your address, going inside, showing that you actually have access to get into the inside of the building, and then kind of walking through and pointing out a few different things. So I did that. I uploaded the video and thought, all right, we're going to be good to go. Because I have done this video multiple different times for different customers and helped them do it and had zero problems whatsoever. So I had all the confidence in the world that I could do it for myself. Well, it came back and failed. So I went and did it again. I just thought maybe it was blurry or maybe something happened, which you can see the video, which I would have known the first time there was no problems. And the second time, it declined again. So I did a third. And then it got declined and I got very angry. And that last time that it got declined, the next, it showed an option that I could schedule a time with someone from Google who would walk through it with me. And I thought I should have had that on the second time. But hey, here we are. And so we did the whole walkthrough with an individual. It's the same concept other than they are sitting on the other end actually watching to see what you're seeing. And what I did not change. I did the same thing that I had done all the other times, showed the same things, and they obviously granted it all the way through because obviously could prove that I had access into the building. I could show that I had ownership, all the different things that were needed on the list. And so part of when I'm reading about these people getting suspended is the first thing is obviously you're probably already verified. I was already verified. And when you're setting up new accounts, you get verified. But I think the first thing I would say is make sure you have someone else tied to your account. So don't be the only one tied to your Google business profile. We've had that with so many of our customers who had no clue how to access their Google business profile. And there was no one they could even ask because they set it up themselves and never granted access. Now, that is twofold. Obviously, you very much need to trust the individual or agency that you're adding in, or realize that if you're done with that agency or the individual moves on, that you take them out. Just something that you have to manage. But again, I don't think you should be the only one in there. The second thing is, I have had a couple people try to like keyword stuff their business name. So what I'm talking about, the profile that I was having issues with was Advanced Network Professionals. And it would be like putting Advanced Network Professionals, Spencer's local IT company, all in the name. And so I've came across it twice with people doing it. And it is just another red flag that Google has that they say not to keyword stuff your names, keep it your business name, don't add all the extra characters for that. Another big thing people have been trying to do and having some issues with were like PO boxes or virtual addresses. So Google is really looking for that address that is verified. So pay attention to that. Don't try to set up a Google business profile for maybe a business that doesn't really have a location. Those are getting extremely hard to do. And I had someone who tried to set it up and it did not work. And I'm not saying that someone out there can't get that to work. I personally couldn't get it to work, but it doesn't mean that you can't. One other thing that I was reading is not doing or not having huge bulk changes to your profile. So if you are going to make updates, I think they recommended not updating more than 9 fields at a time. So if you were going to make some changes to your Google business profile, updating a few at a time, going back in a month later, they recommended to go and make more adjustments. I've never seen really anyone go in and make mass changes. That being said, I've worked with a lot of Google business profiles that barely had anything filled out. So for us, we would have been probably filling out more than 10 because there was really nothing filled out other than just the very extreme basic information. I think your Google business profile is something to keep up to date. When you get those emails that if you're going to be open on Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, those simple yes, no's, just responding to those, easy thing to do. One other thing is for reviews. We talk about reviews all the time. Go get your reviews, ask for your reviews. A big thing that I was reading too was ask for your reviews, but spread it out. So don't go and get a drastic number of reviews at one time, because again, it can flag your account as suspicious, which if everything is positive, you wouldn't think that would be an issue, but it can get flagged as suspicious if you go and get a mass number of reviews at one time. So just spread them out. I don't think if you're getting 10 to 15 reviews in a month that it's going to be a bad thing or an issue. It'd probably be just if you're getting a mass number, more in the 20s, 30s at one in a few given weeks, that I think when I was reading that they were recommending that you can get flagged for that. So I think my biggest thing is stay up to date with your Google business profile, pay attention to it. And if you don't have anyone in there to help you with it, ask someone, because they are extremely relevant. And I highly recommend you just having control of it as well. And so that is just one other thing. You may not be interested in doing anything with your SEO or your paid advertising or any of the different things, but I would challenge you to go out and find out if you have control of your Google business profile. I know there'll be some of you that don't, because I sit down and talk to people every single day that have businesses that have no clue how their Google business profile got created, or it was someone who worked for them 10 years ago and they haven't touched it. So go out, see if you have control. If you don't, start working to get it. You can prove you're the owner. You'll go through some extra steps, get yourself verified, take control, keep it up to date. And that's all I have on your Google business profile. And the last thing we're going to move into is on the AI side. And I've had a lot of customers ask about Claude and watermarking. And I'll go into that here in a moment. We really haven't talked about it much on the show. Or I shouldn't say much. I haven't even acknowledged it yet on the show. And I'm going to dive a little back into why the watermark is coming. I'll talk a little bit about the watermark and just kind of moving forward with that. So on August 2nd, 2026, the EU AI's... I'm going to start over. On August 2nd, the EU AI Act's Article 50 took effect. It is now legally required to disclose AI-generated content when serving European customers. So the law does 3 specific things. It requires chatbots to disclose they are AI. If a customer interacts with an AI system on your website or in your customer service, the system has to be clear that it is AI, not a human. It requires AI-generated or AI-edited content to be labeled text, images, video, and audio that were meaningfully created or edited by AI need to be marked in ways that both humans and machines can read. And it requires deepfakes to be identified as artificial. If you use AI-generated faces, voices, or manipulated content that could pass as real, it has to be clearly labeled. So that is the 3 breakdowns. I'm sure there's more to it. Those are the 3 notes I made to talk about on that act that was coming through. So AI companies are already responding on the same day the law took effect. Anthropic, who are the creators of Claude, started watermarking every piece of text and file that Claude generates. OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft, and nearly 200 other companies have signed the EU's Code of Practice committing to similar disclosure standards. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how Claude says AI watermarking works. And so watermarking, here's how it works. For text, AI influences its word choice in a hidden pattern that a detection system can recognize. The pattern is invincible to a human reader. You cannot see it. Writing quality is not affected, but a machine can read the pattern. Anthropic describes it as words that look like random Monopoly squares to a human, but spell out pi to a machine that knows the pattern. For files, the watermark is a digital signature attached to the file itself. Using an open standard called C2PA, the signature confirms the file was processed by AI and flags whether anyone tampered with it afterwards. So there's a couple things that are couple things that they want you to note on how the watermarking works. The watermark survives, so on the text side, the watermark survives copy and paste and light editing. Fixing a typo or moving text between documents does not remove it. They do state the watermark can be broken by heavy rewriting or translation. Rewrite AI output significantly and the pattern may be detectable. So I think a lot of the questions I've been getting have been about the watermark itself, not so much about the law that came back from the EU. And I'll talk here in a moment before I jump on to our customer question on does this matter to you or is this relevant for you? But with people, so when they talk about that translation, and I will say everything about the watermarking coming is now how are people going to beat that watermark? And one thing I was reading was taking your content that you got out of Claude, translating it to a different language, translating it back to English, and then you could break that watermark. Like I said, it says that copying and pasting from one to the next will keep it unless you do some editing of that content, and they say heavy editing. As we talk about all the time, human element is huge. So for us, yes, Claude may be marking this content. The other thing is Claude, I believe, has not came out with its detection system quite yet. Don't quote me on it. If it came out, I haven't seen it yet, but I do want to see it. And so right now, there are so many different AI detectors out there. And there's a couple of articles I was reading that I was going to put in the show, but I just decided I'd talk about it during this segment. I think some of the detectors go off like invisible characters that you may not see, but your computer can detect that these characters are there to know that, hey, this was AI. Some, I think, is based on wording or phrasing that are commonly used in AI that are being marked as AI. I was reading a whole article on this gentleman who writes for, I can't remember who he writes for, but how some of his content was getting marked as AI. And the article was before any AI system was around. And I kind of laugh because we do track AI content here. And part of it is if you're a customer of ours and we're doing your SEO and you're just taking your site and bloating it with all this generated content, it doesn't help you. And I need to know if that's happening, because most of the time people aren't just going to tell us that it's happening. Although usually I can look at it and just tell you that it probably was AI if you're not doing any human edits. That being said, we've been helping people with their SEO from, 2016, 2017. We had a blog article come back on one of our customer sites from 2018 that it was heavily AI generated. And I just started laughing. I laughed really hard because that wasn't a thing. That was clearly wrote from a human, but it was coming back as generated. Or that it was heavily AI. I'll be really interested once obviously everything now is being watermarked, but once those watermark detectors are truly out, to see, does that impact your content? Because right now I do feel like AI content can be an issue for people on their sites. And will this watermark take effect? Will people start utilizing or realizing what the difference is, whether it truly was AI wrote, or if it was human wrote and then it doesn't have the watermark on it, because it clearly can't, because it was from 2018. And how does that reflect back through? So for that, I'm really interested just to see how some of this plays out, because we have content that is way older than AI that is being marked as heavily AI. And it's just interesting on people's writing styles that have essentially been flagged as AI that aren't. And then you're going to have content that is AI that may not be flagged. And I don't know if the watermark is really the answer. I doubt it. People are going to find workaways around it. Always. I mean, half the things that I read about the watermark is how people are trying to beat it. But again, and I think until Claude really comes out and shows, or Anthropic comes out and shows, here is their watermark detector, that you won't really know if the content was or wasn't. But again, I feel like people are going to break it. So it's all up in the air to me on it, which is why I haven't really covered this topic. But I've had quite a few customers ask me about it. And some are customers, some aren't. Some are just other business owners that know that this is just something that I would be paying attention to and reading on and just having conversations about. I think one other thing is, obviously this is all for the EU, and people are wondering, does this actually apply to me? And so the act does not just apply to European businesses. It applies to any business whose AI outputs meaningfully reach European users. The practical threshold is not your website loads in Europe. Almost every website does. The threshold is whether you are actively marketing to European customers, fulfilling orders in Europe, or providing digital services that a European user would meaningfully engage with. So those are kind of those things you have to be thinking about. Obviously, we're in Iowa. Some of our customers are just local based that are serving the people of our communities or surrounding communities. But it's, if you are with our Five Men's clothing store, we did ship stuff to Europe all the time. So it's kind of that give and that take of realizing what standards do you need to be following to, or complying to, can't talk. What standards matter, where you need to be at, and what you got to be paying attention to. All this is new. I think it'll be interesting as it keeps rolling out. Obviously, everything with this is supposed to be stated, like this was AI generated or not. And I think you're supposed to be just saying it without even the watermarks telling them on the back end if it was or wasn't, especially when it comes to those videos and deepfakes. So it'll be interesting to see how the web keeps, it's just going to be changing, let's be honest, as things keep growing. I think the power of being authentic is going to be larger than ever. So if you are willing to take the time and record and talk, have some videos, those things are going to be extremely powerful, because it's actually going to be you, if you can prove it was you and not AI generated. But more than likely, if you're taking the time, having your authentic content, having your authentic video, you're going to win bigger than ever, especially during this time in our lives. And with that, I think I'm going to jump into our customer question of the day. And we are building, we build websites. That is our core here. That is where we found our love for SEO and paid ads, is all just from building websites and building them right. And so we were working with a customer, and we had put a spot on their site for testimonials. And they asked, do I need customer testimonials on my homepage? And I said, yes, but I don't want fake ones. And so with the customer testimonials on the homepage, I'm going to answer this in many different ways. I usually like to put them on the homepage instead of just having a testimonials page. Back in the day, it was very common for people to just have a testimonials page that they had all these testimonials typed out on one page. That to me isn't relevant anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. I always recommend, we talked about your Google business profile, getting Google reviews and then allowing us to pull those Google reviews onto your homepage, onto your service page, if you have a product page, whatever page that is relevant that we need to draw attention to and have those trust signals are where I like to pull your testimonials. Now, if you want to get even better, have some video testimonials. If you can get a few customers talking for 30 seconds about why they chose you or what you did for them or how you helped them or whatever your service is or product you're selling, and you get someone to spend a few seconds, I should say 30 seconds tops, talking about how you made a difference for them, all the better. And then don't hide those. Yes, your hero section probably should just be your clear message on who you are, what you do, and what you want them to do when they arrive. But if someone's taking the time to scroll down a little, don't hide those things at the bottom. Have them up. Show them off. Be proud of your testimonials. If you're working to get those testimonials, means you're probably doing your job right in the first place if people are giving you those reviews that you're willing to share. And so have them. Don't just type them out on your site. Anyone can make up a review nowadays and have been able to forever. So I like to use a third party, for instance, like pulling them from Google, because you didn't make those up and they can link right back to that Google profile itself and they can see the review right from there if they want to. So having those trust signals is huge for me. And I do think it makes a large impact on your site. When we're working with customers on their sites, it is so much more than it just looking good. Yes, it is important. Yes, I want your site to be the best looking in your industry. But if you are missing out on just having that clear message and those trust signals of people that are trusting you, then what? That doesn't help you. So yes, you can have all the fanciest words in the world, but if someone can see something, that's where, like, I'll say, if you're in our industry, showing off projects, who you've worked with, different things like that, people can go and see that work. If people can't see your work, someone could read about the work or listen to someone talk about the work you did for them. All those things just have extreme power. And that is just where I say, have those testimonials, have those video testimonials, pull in those Google reviews, and that'll just lead into so much more success. And with that, we're going to jump in to our featured project. And it is Kossuth County. The domain name is kossuthcounty.iowa.gov. They're their largest county in Iowa. And we help take their site from a custom CRM to WordPress. We help them reorganize their navigation, break it down, find easy ways for customers to find the most relevant things they were coming to search for. I love going through your old content, or I should say your old data, to see where people were using the most on your old site when we're doing a new one. So many people want to guess what was most important or what people spent their time doing on their site. Most don't take the time to actually just go look at the data. They just assume based on their business, but taking the time, looking at your data, realizing the key things across their page that most people were looking for, made it nice and simple. They have their public notices on their homepage. And then one big thing that we had done for them is a notify me. So anytime they upload a new document into one of the sections, if you are a resident of the county, you don't have to be a resident of the county, but I don't know if you'd want all the notifications if you weren't, but you can sign up for which ones you are interested in. And once they upload a new document, you automatically get an email that it's been posted. So again, it is KossuthCountyIowa.gov. We appreciate you tuning in today. Please like, comment, and subscribe on whichever platform you're on, and we'll catch you next time.